Can we start? High Representative, we can? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Welcome to the press conference after the first in-person meeting of the foreign ministers in the framework of the Foreign Affairs Council. It was a very long one, and the High Representative will now summarize the discussions of the ministers. He was presiding over, and then he will take few of your questions. It will not be a lot of questions because, as you noticed, we are running late and he has other points on his agenda. So, Mr. High Representative, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon to all of you. Our agenda today has been very dense and we discussed many points of current business. And in the agenda, first about Libya, the situations remain bad. We continue to see blatant violations of our embargo. We intend to reinforce the sanctions regime to contribute to a better implementation of the UN Security Council resolutions, which would also increase the effectiveness of our Operation Irini. On Venezuela, I propose to convene a ministerial meeting of the International Crisis Group, together with other key actors, to analyze the conditions in which the forthcoming parliamentary elections will take place, and to send a strong message to the Maduro regime about its latest decision on the issue. And the most important debate was the Latin American and Caribbean. We reviewed the coronavirus consequences and how the EU can support the region and increase our political engagement. How to revitalize the political engagements of the European Union with Latin America, at the moment where the region is passing by such important difficulties due to the coronavirus crisis, which is hitting the subcontinent very, very much. The number of cases and the death caused by the coronavirus is extraordinarily high in Latin America with respect to its population. It was an important briefing to the Council about the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue. The talks has been on track again with the agreement of the main elements of the process and about the agenda of the next meeting in Brussels this Thursday that will take place on a presential way. I am so happy to announce that the Pristina-Belgrade dialogue are already on track, and the talks will resume, has already been starting with the first meeting and the second one next Thursday with a broad agenda and an agreement about what do we have to discuss in order to get a legally binding agreement on normalizing the relationship between Pristina and Belgrade. On China, for sure, we discussed the imposition of the draconian national security legislation in Hong Kong. We all have serious questions about its conformity with basic law and China international commitment. Our message in this context is twofold. First, to the people in Hong Kong, the support of the European Union for their autonomy and fundamental freedom. We will continue to stand by the people of Hong Kong. And to China, the message is that the recent actions change the rules. This will require a revision of our approach and will clearly have an impact on our relations. I have proposed that we work on a coordinated European Union approach with a mix of actions at the European Union level and a member state level. And finally, Turkey. In Turkey, we have had a long and interesting debate, and at the end of the long debate, I presented my conclusions, which were approved by the Council members, but it is my conclusions which will conduct and drive my future action as High Representative Vice Chairman of the Commission. we reiterated that we view Turkey as an important country for the European Union, with whom we would to have relations strengthened and developing, but this has to be done in respect of European values, principles, and interests. It was also a consensus among member states that the European Union-Turkey relations are currently under continuous strain, that there are worrying developments, in particular in the Eastern Mediterranean regarding Libya, that affects directly our interests. Thus, several serious issues must be addressed by Turkey in order to change the current confrontation dynamics and create an environment of trust with Turkey, which everybody wishes. But we stress also that the Turkish unilateral actions, in particular in the Eastern Mediterranean, which run counter to EU interests, to the sovereign rights of European Union member states, and to international law, must come to an end. We recall the previous conclusions of the Council, 15 July 2019, on illegal Turkish drilling activities in the exclusive economic zone of Cyprus, and the 15th of May 2020 statement on the Eastern Mediterranean, and reiterated that the situation that we were confronted at the European Union borders in early March must not be repeated. We also agreed to call on Turkey to contribute actively to a political solution in Libya and to respect the commitments it has taken in the framework of the Berlin process, including the United Nations arms embargo. We are doing our part. The European Union member states are doing their part, in particular through Operation Irene, which provides a key contribution to ensure the respect of the arms embargo by all actors. We will consider ways to ensure the full effectiveness of the operation with the aim of preventing escalation on the ground. An important issue was about Hagia Sophia. The Council has condemned the Turkish decision to convert such an emblematic monument as Hagia Sophia back to a mosque. This decision will inevitably fuel mistrust, promote renewed division between religious communities, and undermine our efforts at dialogue and cooperation. There was a broad support to call on the Turkish authorities to urgently reconsider and reverse this decision. All in all, according with these conclusions, the final conclusion is that there was clearly a broad support for the High Representative, Vice Chairman of the Commission, to explore further paths that could contribute to lowering tensions and reach understandings on issues that are increasingly stressing the relations between Turkey and the European Union. Also, I will prepare options on further appropriate measures that could be taken in response to the challenges we are facing as a result of Turkey's actions, including in the Eastern Mediterranean. In the meantime, work will also continue on additional listings with the existing sanctions framework as requested by Cyprus. I agreed to report back to the ministers at the informal meeting at the end of August, which also will have Turkey on its agenda. I think it's all.
Thank you very much. And now we take a few questions. First question, Athanasios. Athanasios, wait until your mic is unmuted and then you can pose your question.